Started with class. If you have not found your assigned pew, if you will begin heading that way, we are going to have, I know this is going to bring much joy. Oh, yes, sir, that's what I'm doing. So this may bring some of you joy, but we are going to have somewhat of an abbreviated class. Because what we want to do is, for those of you who've had an opportunity, at the 3 tables as you walk into the auditorium, there's a survey, and we want to give you a few minutes to quickly or slowly fill out that survey at the end of class, and then you can just, you can drop it in the, the black trays. Just put them in the black trays, just slide it in upside down if you want. And so we'll give you a few minutes at the end of the class. I hope that's my plan in order to do that. So, time is a cruel master, I have learned. 3 decades and 90 pounds ago, I was a freshman at a little school in Fort Worth. And because I couldn't do anything else that involved coordination, the cross-country coach got her hands on me and said, "Hey, why don't you come run with us? It will be fun." And that's when I learned that she does not speak the truth. But I joined cross country, and for the next several years, we did short runs, we did long runs, we did competitions and meets. We had the joy of sitting in the pep rally before a football game, and they would do about 14 cheers and somersaults and everything, cheering on the football team. And then they had a very special cheer that they made up for the cross-country runners, and it went like this: go, cross-country. That was it. And they would do that about 3 or 4 times, and then they would go back to the football. And so we never had anybody who was dumb enough to go cheer for us, because that's the thing with cross country. There's about 300 people at the starting line. You hear the gun, and then they all run away. And they go into the trees or somewhere where no one else is. And then hopefully less than 20 minutes later, you see them emerge. They cross the line and they can't breathe, and it's over. And so there's no use to go out there and do the clap. And so we never had anybody there. But throughout the years, I continued to run off and on, more off than on. But as I said to earlier, time is very cruel, and I have found it a lot harder to run as far and certainly as fast as what I used to. When I was younger, we kind of joked around that you had to run under 20 minutes for a 3.1 mile, a 5K, and now I can't even come close to a sub 20 5K. But I still try to go out and run as often as I can, and I can't figure out why. I have no idea why. But when I go on vacation, when I go on a trip, I run every time. I can't, if I'm at home, I'll run 20, 30 days out of the year, maybe a little more. If I go on a vacation, I get up early and run every morning. I don't know why. I can't figure it out. If somebody knows the psychology behind it, please let me know. But it's brutal when I'm supposed to be enjoying time, resting, and I'm always getting up early. But I do plan for that. In fact, I'm going to be going away for a few days. My wife and I are going to try to get away, and I have my running gear with me. And so you may ask, what is running gear? And I'm glad you asked, because I brought some samples here for you to see. Now, for the sake of the elders and for the sake of all of your eyes, I have chosen not to don the apparel that I would normally wear, because I want to have a job when I come back, and I don't want any of you to be blinded by the white pasty skin that's underneath. So I'll talk about some of the more obvious things that I wear. My gear includes a set of shorts. Barb, why are you laughing? Because there are 10, these would be just about the right size for you. They're a little bit short for me, but I need to be aerodynamic. Now, I recognize that there are plenty of women who see my knees while I'm running, and that could tempt them, but that's okay. I wear, these are the shorts that I wear. They're super light, and I have to have them. I also have a running shirt, and then Barb was laughing at the shorts. She's going to absolutely love the shirt. This is a little thicker than a Kleenex, and this is the dry fit, and so it takes the moisture, it wicks it away, and it is amazing. Because I don't want to go into great detail, but the Lord gave me an extra amount of sweat glands, so that when I start running, you can see the trail of sweat as I go along. I always tease Brett, because we go running together sometimes, and he wears cotton. And I think you have to be a Neanderthal to go running and wear cotton. So I make sure I have super light that easily wicks away. Of course, you have to have the socks that go with them. I prefer the no-show socks. I don't know why. It's just that I'm not in the 90s anymore, and I don't wear tube socks up to my knees like I used to. Here's another thing that's important to wear, are shoes. And I love these. These are my running shoes, which is I only wear these shoes when I'm running. I don't wear them anywhere else. These are only my running shoes. I actually went to Lubbock about 8 years ago and bought these shoes. I probably need to replace them, but I absolutely love them. It's the most expensive pair of shoes that I've ever bought in my life, and I absolutely love them. These are perfect for me, and I'm not trying to sell you a pair of Brooks, but I'm telling you, these are the best shoes I've ever owned. They're 8 years, and I don't know how many thousands of miles on them, but they have more than 5 miles on them. I also have with me my earbuds. I actually don't wear these. I have some wireless ones, but I just grab these because these were easy to get my hands on. Always have my earbuds with me because I have to have music when I run, and I have a special playlist that I play that's always playing the songs that I want to hear. And it's a mix of Christian music, but it's not the slow. I want the amped up. I want the ones that are going to really get me going. But every once in a while, I will hit pause because I'll spend some time singing a song that I may not have queued up in my list. And one of my favorite songs that I love to sing, and I always sing to the rhythm of my breath, just because I can't handle breathing at a different pace, because I'm not that smart to do that. But Step by Step is one of the songs that I almost always sing when I'm running. I will spend time step by step. Here's another odd thing that I wear when I run. This gets me made fun of a lot. It's called a gutter, G-U-T-R, and you wear it just like this. And it's made of like a rubber plastic, and like I said, I sweat a lot. Several years ago, I was with the youth group, and they noticed how much I sweat, and they nicknamed me Nichols, because they said that's the size of my sweat pores. But this, when I sweat, it goes down into the gutter. Lee, don't laugh at me. Lee. Come on. Jowl, people. So it'll sweat down here. It runs to the side. It goes down to the edges, and I get no sweat in my eyes. This is really important because I normally, like I said, I will just get drenched. So, Kristen McCoy, that look on your face is like, that is gross and you're a dork. That's what your look just said to me. This is super important. I also carry with me when I go on long runs. This is embarrassing. Brett doesn't like to run with me when I have this. But this is my running belt that I carry with me. And it's important to have your running belt on long runs because you have to stay hydrated. And I have my little water bottles. I know this doesn't seem like much, but 45 minutes into a run, you need to have some water. So 45-minute run, that's about 1.5 miles for me. That's funny. That's usually down the street is how long it takes me in 45 minutes. I have 2 water bottles. I'll normally put Gatorade in one. And what? Yes, sir? Do you have a number? I do not have my water bottle's number. But I feel really special when I have this. Even has a little pouch with me. And the reason why it's good to have this pouch is because, especially when I'm on vacation, I will run with my phone. Not because I need the music. I have another device for that. But a lot of times if I get in trouble or I get lost, I need to have a phone. And some of you know this story, but years ago I was on a mission trip and we were in New Orleans. And I'm not even going to take this off. I look so good in this. I'm just going to wear it the rest of the time. I can put my hands on this. I was in New Orleans, and like I said, when I go on vacation, I exercise. We were on a mission trip, and so I decided to take my bike with me, my road bike. Scotty knows a lot about that. And so I was riding. I got a flat tire. If you think my shorts are embarrassing, my running shorts are embarrassing, you should see my bike shorts. They are tights. And they have padding on the bottom of them when you're sitting down. And I remember the first time I put those on, Gracie was real little, and she looked at me and she says, "Dad, why are you wearing a diaper?" So I was in New Orleans. I did not have my phone with me. I was riding a bike. I was going over railroad tracks. I had a flat tire. I had to walk it back. I am now lost. I'm not sure where I am in New Orleans. It's getting dark, and I'm heading towards what I think might be a shortcut to get me back to the college, the university where we were staying at in their dorm rooms. A car drives by several times. I think I've told you this story before. Finally, it stops. This lady rolls down the window and she looks at me like Kristen looked at me just a minute ago, like, "You're weird, you're crazy, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, I have a flat tire." She says, "Where are you going?" I said, "Well, I'm going to this college up here." And she says, you probably shouldn't go that way. You need to go a different direction. You don't need to be in that neighborhood when it gets dark. To say nothing of the fact that I'm wearing tights and I'm walking my bike through this place. So she drives off. 2 minutes later, she pulls up to the curb and she rolls down the window and she says, "Get in the car." And I'm really actually a little scared that she says, "Get in the car. If you go into that neighborhood, I promise you, you will not come out of it." And she said, "Get your bike or leave your bike. Don't go any further to where you're going. That is not where you need to be at this time of night." And so I shoved my bike into the back seat of her little car, and she took me to where she was, and that was an angel that probably saved my life. And from that point on, I always knew, make sure that you have your phone with you. Right? So I carried my phone. I am going to take this off because I don't want you to start to cover it. Another thing that I have with me is I have a watch. For probably the last 15 years, I've had a running watch. And I want to tell you something. This is really important. All of this is going to come into what we're talking about in a minute. But I have a watch. It's a GPS watch. It tracks my pace. It tracks my distance and my time. It does not track, even though I could, it does not, I don't have a map. I do not map out my runs. I don't know how far I'm going to run. I don't know how fast I'm going to run. I just say I'm going to go out and I'm going to run. I want you to hang on to that thought in a minute. But when I go out to run, it's just like I'm going to run. I'm going to exercise. It's a time of, honestly, it is a time of meditation. It is a time of recharging spiritually as I'm kind of draining myself physically. It is reinvigorating. But I never say, this is the run that I'm going to do. In fact, if I'm halfway into a run and I decide how far I think I want to go and how fast I want to go, I almost always divert from that original estimate of how far or how fast I think I'm going to run. And so this watch is really important. It tells me the pace that I'm going. It tells me how far that I've gone, and that helps me in my run. And then there's one more thing that I carry with me, especially when I'm on vacation. If I'm around the house, not so much. I don't carry my wallet. I usually carry a small bill, a $20 bill, just in case, and I carry this with me. I make sure I have my ID with me. And so if something happens to me and I can't talk, this ID tells me who I am and where I came from. And that's really important, not only for runs, but also what we're going to talk about for the next few minutes. And so my gear for running involves comfort. It involves what's most efficient and what's safe for me. I spend a lot of time thinking about what I'm going to wear when I go on a run. And so I have my set gear that I have with me. It's been years of trying to figure out what's worked best and what doesn't work best, what I like and what I don't like. I've kind of figured out this is what's really important to me. When I go on vacation, I have a list of things to pack. These items are all on that list. I literally write down on my list, gutter. Don't forget your gutter. Don't forget your running belt. Okay, make sure that you have those things. Don't forget your running shoes. If I get somewhere, I know this sounds terrible, but if I get somewhere and I want to go on a run and I forgot my running shoes, I won't run. And I know that doesn't seem right, but I just won't do it. I want to have that gear ready. So for the last 3 weeks, we're now into our 4th week, we've been talking about over and over again about this idea of evangelism and what it looks like and why we should be passionate about it. And today I just want to talk for a few minutes about how do you plan for that? What does that really look like in your life today when you're in church and tomorrow as you go out to work or you're retired and you're going to encounter different people? What does that look like and how do you prepare for that? And the first thing I want to say is prepare for that. Prepare for an opportunity to evangelize. If you don't do it, if you don't plan for it, you're just probably not on the spur of the moment going to open up an opportunity to talk to someone about who Jesus is. If you don't decide today that you're going to talk about it tomorrow, then when tomorrow comes, most likely you'll find a reason not to do it, or you won't find an opportunity to do it. And so that's something I want to talk about and what that exactly looks like. So, before you have that conversation, what are some things that you need to do to help pave the way for a conversation with someone at your work or maybe a stranger that you meet? What do you need to do? Okay, so you need a way for a door to open in order for that to share. We talked about this last week, remember, with Philip and the Ethiopian eunuch. Ultimately, the angel of the Lord is going to come to him and say, I want you to go up to that chariot and talk to that Ethiopian eunuch. But before that happened, what did he have to do? He had to go. He had to leave where he was, what was comfortable, even what was successful, right? And go somewhere where God said, I want you to go. God sent him to a very vague, very barren place and said, I want you to go down this road, the desert road. And so the first thing you have to do is that you need to think about, where can I go to minister to people? In Ephesians, it talks about this idea of being prepared and using every opportunity. And several years ago, as we were reading through that, a professor made this statement that I've ended up writing down in every Bible. And he says, if you don't preach where you go, there's no reason to go where you preach. Okay? And basically what he's saying for you and I is, okay, if you're not going to talk about Jesus everywhere that you go, there's no reason to go to the place where other people talk about Jesus. Okay, if it's not going to be every part of your life, if Christianity is merely something that you consume and it's never something that you share with other people, then there's no reason to go and take it all in, because Christianity was never about absorbing, consuming, and storing the love of Jesus that you don't share with anyone. The call of Jesus is to go, to share. I went and visited a church a few weeks ago and got to speak to them. And the name of the youth group, their youth group, they're the Ecclesia. Is anybody familiar with that word, the Ecclesia? I heard somebody say it back here. It's the called out. The Ecclesia. Do you know what that word is in English? the church. When the New Testament uses the word ecclesia, it is the word that we translate as the church. It is literally two words, ek, which means out, and the klesia, or from the word kaleo, which means to call. The church literally means the called out, not the sit in. Now, we come sit in, but we sit in so that we can then be called out and go find other people. So, with that being said, what do you do to prepare to go out? When you have opportunities, what do you do to prepare for that? You study? Okay, so we talked about this a few weeks ago. And I said, and you had some of the similar answers that our kids did at camp. And the question was, why is it difficult? Or why are you hesitant to share the message of Jesus with other people? And one of the things a lot of people say is, I just don't know what to say. Right? And I don't mean to be hurtful. And I don't think it was intended to be hurtful when it was said to me in a different context. But my dad, who was a police officer, would tell me often about, whether or not I was getting in trouble or not. And I would say, Dad, I didn't know. And he would say, son, ignorance is no excuse. If it's the law, it's the law. Whether you know it or not, it's the law. This is the inspired word of God. Okay, if you don't know it, why is that?
Because if you don't know God's word, you aren't preparing yourself to know God's word.
Yes.
In order to know God's word, you got to study it, you got to pray, you got to worship, you got to do all the things necessary in order to spread God's word.
Yes. And the Hebrews, beginning early on, all throughout, up to Jesus' lifetime and beyond that, they believed and understood and followed the Shema, which is Deuteronomy chapter 6. Hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God, the Lord is one God. Worship the Lord thy God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, with all your mind. Talk about him when you lie down and when you get up, when you sit at home and when you're on the road. Impress them upon your children. Bind them, as symbols on your forehead and on your arms. It was like we should be just daily in the Word. Okay? It is not a cliche to say this is life-changing, life-transforming. It changed your life. It changed my life. And so when we say, I'm afraid to talk to other people about Jesus because I just don't know enough, I just want to say, one, you're never going to know enough. But two, you're only going to learn if you're willing to spend time in the Word. And you can't say, well, I can't take my Bible with me everywhere I go. If you have an electronic device, you have access to free versions. There's about 50 versions or so that you can get. If you don't like to read the Bible in English, you can read it in French, you can read it in Spanish, you can read it in Greek. There's all different ways. They're all free to access. You can utilize that. So let me encourage you. You need to be training for those opportunities. When Brett and I had an opportunity to do a little kind of a fun run together, we had to prepare and train for that. He, like the whole Blackman clan, can swim like fishes. And I don't know what, and Caleb, their youngest one, can swim like crazy. I mean like crazy. I get in the water and I look like a three-legged puppy that has never experienced, I'm gasping for air. And so just to be able to swim, I literally trained months for what is literally a warm-up swim for Caleb and Jacob. Like they would go out and that was their warm up was 400 meters. That would like literally, that was the most I've ever done with months and months of training. But that's something I was like, I don't want to drown. I want to finish it. And so I need to practice. And so if it sounds like I'm banging the pulpit, it's because I really am. I want you to be in the Word and be able to pour into yourself so that you can pour out. Okay, I have some more things, but I want to ask you, what else do you need to do? If you want to have those conversations, what are some other things that you need to do to prepare for those moments, those opportunities where you can share Jesus?
Paul told Timothy you have to be strong in the grace yourself.
Okay.
You have to. How can I convince you about the grace of Jesus Christ if one's not occurred in my life? Number two, if I'm not willing to talk about it.
Yeah.
I give all the grace there is that we do.
If you're not transformed, then it's going to be hard to tell somebody else about something that's transforming. You've all seen that movie, or you've read that book, or you've eaten that meal that you're like, man, that was really good. And you tell other people about it. Okay? Most people love their devices. I'm a weirdo. I don't have an iPhone. And so I feel like half of my life I'm defending why Samsung is a really good phone to have. Like it's better than iPhone, right? And I'm like the only one around, especially if you are under 40 and you have something that's not an iPhone, like people think something's wrong with you. And so I'm always talking about, oh, this is why this is so great and this is why your iPhone can't do this. It's like I feel compelled to do that. Like, are we compelled? Have we prepared our arguments? Have we come up with reasons why we think everyone should have Jesus in their life? Do you really believe that you need to have Jesus in your life? What is more important than Jesus? That better be the shortest list ever of things that are more important than Jesus. There is nothing more important than Jesus. And so Lynn is right. If he's not number one in your life, if this is kind of a casual Christianity, then it's one, going to be apparent to others, and two, you're going to have a hard time convincing someone that Jesus is everything if Jesus isn't everything to you. And nobody wants to hear, hey, pick up religion. It's something to do in your free time. Because everybody else is sitting around saying, I sure wish I had something to do on Sunday mornings. If it doesn't just consume you, then you need to spend more time in that. Other things to do is spend time, and we've talked about this the last 3 weeks, but just pray, pray, pray. Give me your eyes, give me your heart, give me your eyes, give me your heart, so that you can see people the way Jesus sees them and you can love them the way God loves them. You need to look for opportunities. This is why you are here. This is what you do. You are the called out. You go to Walmart and you look for people who need Jesus. You go to the soccer fields. You go to the post office. You walk across to your neighbor's house. You go to tell other people about Jesus. That is the most important thing. Another thing I want to say is, we only have 2 more things. We're almost done. Don't be afraid. I mentioned last week, we talked a little bit about Jennifer's uncle, Jerry Bill, who just recently passed away. He was the one who had these cards printed up with his name and phone number on them. And he asked very specific questions about who Jesus was in their life. And they ended with, how can I help you? And his wife said, there's one thing that was really unique about Jerry, is that he wasn't afraid of being rejected. He would tell people about Jesus, and if they didn't want to hear about it, he was okay. His job was not to grow his plant. His job was to plant seeds. That's what he was supposed to do. And he would cast out seed wherever he went. And there were people who would reject him. Remember when Jesus told the story of the sower? Okay? There's a lot of different ground, right, Bob, that seed can land on. Jesus didn't say only cast seed where you know it's going to be planted. The sower's responsibility is to cast out wherever you can and allow God to give the growth. And the last thing I want to encourage you to think about is this, is that this is going to require effort. It's going to require your emotions. It's going to require preparation. It's going to require courage. When we were at my Jennifer's uncle's funeral several weeks ago, one of the speakers said this, and I want to close out with this thought. He says, I have never seen a victory celebration without tears. I want you to think about that for just a second. I've never seen a victory celebration without tears. Why are people crying at a victory celebration? Why would they? They won or lost. I want to take it from that they're the ones who are part of the winning team. So why would somebody who just won, why would they have tears? Tears of joy? Tears of sacrifice? I mean, I don't know, the Olympics are coming up pretty soon, and to me, I love watching the Olympics, but it makes me super, super anxious because I just think about the people who all of it has come down to this one race, or the hardest for me to watch is ice skating. Because I just know that they practice that routine a million times, and they've stuck that landing a million times. And gymnastics the same way. You can do it over and over and over and over again. And you get out there, and one time, just the tiny little error can completely derail it. And you might not even fall. You may just wobble a little bit. And that wobble is between gold and not even making the podium. There are tears for the sacrifice that went into that. Why else might people be weeping as they are holding that trophy?
That's a validation.
That I did this when no one else said that I could. Why else would they do it?
For the people that believe
For
in it.
they're sharing in that victory, for the people who've watched them, the people that have coached them, for the people who took them to soccer practice when they were 8 years old, for people who made sacrifices so that they could go to this certain school or they could practice on this event, for people who'd gone on before them who weren't there anymore. For the grandparents who encouraged them to continue on in the sport that they love. For the coaches that taught them early on that have since passed away. We are all going to have that victory. But I just don't want to have that celebration without knowing that I have invited others to join me as well. Go on and say, you know what, I'm just not going to do it, but I'm going to end it the way I started with weeks ago. I don't know how much a person can really be a follower of Jesus if they're not willing to walk along other people and invite them. I think following Jesus has to mean that we are always looking for other people to help along that road as well. With that being said, we have a survey. We have, according to my watch, we have about 5 minutes before we officially end. There are some surveys back there that have been created that ask several questions basically about what have we been doing the last few months or year, and what do we want to keep doing. Sunday night, do we want to go back to doing small groups? Do we want to meet up here? Sunday morning, do we want to meet in here? Do we want to have other classes that you can attend on Wednesday night? Are you interested in having a meal before we do what we do? Lots of questions like that. And a lot of those questions have a follow-up question. It says, would you like to have a class on Wednesday night? Well, yes, I would. Would you like to help lead one of those classes? Would you like to have a meal on Wednesday night? Me personally, I would love to have a meal because I love food. I would love to sit with you and have a meal. There's going to be a follow-up question. Would you like to help go pick up a meal or clean up after a meal? And so those questions are on there. So if you have not gotten one of those surveys, those are at the back 3 tables. There also should be some writing instruments on those tables as well that you can grab. If you don't mind, you could probably fill it out in about 2 minutes or less. We would love for you to put your name on there. If you're like, I don't want my name on there, that's fine. But if you volunteer for everything and don't put your name on there, that means nothing to us. So we will just guess that it's you. And we will come knocking on your door. So if you'd take a few minutes, it really would help us out a lot as we try to figure out where we're going to go on in the future. And then one more thing really fast. Thank you for sticking with us. It's been really crazy the last 18 months. And you could have walked out and said, I'm not doing this internet thing. Thank you for being here. And for those of you online, thank you for continuing to log on. If there's improvements that we can make on your end, please let us know and we'll try our best to do that. If you'd like a survey, for those of you online or here, or you know somebody else, we will email you one. You can call in and we'll write down your answers. However you want to do it, we'll do that. So I'm going to give you about 3 minutes now to fill out that and then just put it on those tables before you go. Otherwise, you are dismissed. Fill out those surveys and have a blessed week.
Anybody that wants to talk about the food and clothing room, right over here.